Imagine a world you can't see, a universe of total darkness. Now imagine that within that darkness, you discover a hidden language. A language spoken not by people, but by machines. At just 15 years old and completely blind, one teenager mastered this language. He didn't need to see a screen or type a single line of code. With nothing but a telephone and his voice, he could bend the entire American telecommunications network to his will. He could sever a CEO's connection to the world, eavesdrop on classified FBI briefings as if he were in the room, and with a few carefully chosen words, dispatch a heavily armed SWAT team to any address he pleased. This is the unbelievable true story of Matthew Weigman, a name that would become whispered in fear and awe in the halls of federal law enforcement. To the world, he was known as Lil Hacker. But he wasn't a hacker in the traditional sense. He didn't use brute force attacks or sophisticated software. His keyboard was a telephone keypad. His code was his voice. He used his ears to find the cracks in the system, to listen to the secret rhythms of the network, and to hack the world. He became a ghost in the machine, a phantom on the line that the nation's top investigators couldn't trace. But his biggest trick? He didn't just evade the FBI. He actually managed to outplay them at their own game, turning their own tools and protocols against them in a stunning display of audacity. Get ready, because the man who heard too much is about to show you how a boy with no sight could see the flaws in a system built by giants, and how he broke it all with just a whisper. Our story begins in the working-class neighborhood of East Boston. This is where Matthew Weigman was born with optic nerve atrophy, a condition that left him completely and permanently blind from birth. His world was one without light, shape, or color. But in that world of total darkness, his brain performed a miracle of adaptation. It rewired itself. The neural pathways meant for sight were repurposed, massively amplifying his other senses. His hearing, in particular, evolved into something extraordinary, a genuine superpower. He developed perfect pitch, the rare ability to identify any musical note by ear alone. But for Matthew, this gift wasn't for music. It was for listening to the symphony of the telephone network. He also possessed a near-photographic memory for sound. He could memorize entire conversations, complex sequences of tones, and long strings of numbers just by hearing the DTMF tones, the beeps we all hear when someone dials a phone. For most of us, those beeps are just noise. For Matthew, they were a language. Each number had a unique dual-tone frequency, and he could distinguish them as clearly as if he were reading them on a page. At age 11, his curiosity led him to the wild west of the early internet, telephone party lines. It was here he first realized that by pressing specific key combinations, he could manipulate the system, kicking people off the line or taking control of the chat room. This was his training ground. He spent hours mapping out the hidden architecture of the phone companies, learning the secret commands that only technicians were supposed to know. He was a child, alone in his room, but on the phone lines, he was becoming a master puppeteer. He didn't hack software, he hacked people. He mastered telecom jargon and could mimic supervisor voices so perfectly that Verizon employees would hand over unlisted numbers and passwords. He joined a gang of freakers who used swatting, faking hostage situations to send armed police to enemies' homes. His first victim? A girl who refused him phone sex. His targets escalated to celebrities, harassing figures like Lindsay Lohan and Eminem. By 2005, Weigman's digital footprints were no longer just mischievous echoes in the system, they were seismic shocks. His escalating exploits had crossed a critical threshold, making the digital phantom a federal priority. This is when FBI Special Agent Alan Lind, a seasoned cybercrime investigator, was tasked with hunting down the elusive hacker who seemed to operate without a trace. After finally tracking Weigman to his home, Lind faced a dilemma. Before him was not a hardened criminal, but a blind teenager with an unprecedented gift. An arrest would be standard procedure, but Lind saw a rare opportunity. Instead of putting the minor in handcuffs, he made an unconventional offer: become a confidential informant. The strategy was a classic gamble. Turn the poacher into a gamekeeper. The FBI hoped to harness Weigman's unique abilities to navigate the dark corners of the web, using his insider knowledge to catch other cybercriminals. For Weigman, it was a tantalizing proposition, a get-out-of-jail-free card, and a chance to use his skills with the Bureau's blessing. Weigman agreed, beginning a precarious dance between cooperation and compulsion. He provided the FBI with valuable intelligence, but the thrill of the hack was an addiction he couldn't shake. On the side, he continued his unauthorized explorations of AT&T's network. His FBI handler would later remark that Weigman couldn't go 72 hours without hacking, highlighting the deep-seated nature of his obsession. This dual life set the stage for a moment that would become legendary in FBI circles. During a visit to Weigman's home, Agent Lynn's cell phone rang. Weigman, sitting across the room, heard only the muffled, indistinct vibrations of the voice on the other end. To Lynn's astonishment, Weigman casually identified the caller by name, William Smith, a lead investigator from Verizon's security team who was also working the case. Lynn was, in his own words, flabbergasted. Weigman hadn't just guessed. He had recognized the subtle electronic signature of the specific phone line Smith was calling from, but he didn't stop there. In a stunning display of audacity, Weigman then social engineered his way into the phone company's internal systems. He accessed the billing records of the very investigators pursuing him, including Lynd and Smith. He was no longer just a target of the investigation. He was monitoring it in real time, effectively tracking the people who were tracking him. The game had changed, and the FBI was no longer the only one playing. Weigman began to psychologically torment Smith, spoofing his own calls back to him. 2 months after his 18th birthday, Weigman and his brother drove to Smith's home in New Hampshire to intimidate him. Because he was now an adult, the FBI moved in. The game was over. He was charged with conspiracy to retaliate against a witness and fraud. The final act of Matthew Weigman's criminal career played out not over a phone line, but in a federal courtroom. After a complex legal battle that untangled years of digital and psychological manipulation, the gavel fell. In 2009, for a litany of charges including conspiracy, computer fraud, and witness tampering, Weigman was sentenced to 11 years and 3 months in federal prison, a significant sentence that underscored the severity of his actions. The boy who could hear everything was finally silenced by the system he had so expertly played. Behind bars, the world of infinite connections was replaced by concrete and steel. After serving the majority of his sentence, he was released from federal custody on October 20, 2018, stepping back into a world that had changed dramatically, now more connected and more vulnerable than ever. But freedom came with its own prison. In a rare 2023 interview, a visibly changed Weigman spoke of the profound difficulties of reintegration. The sensory overload, the struggle to find his place, and a deep-seated mistrust of others culminated in a stark admission: "I dislike most people." It was a sentiment born from years of isolation and a life spent exploiting, and perhaps being exploited by, the very nature of human interaction. Ultimately, Matthew Weigman's story is a powerful cautionary tale. He proved, with terrifying clarity, that in a world obsessed with high-tech firewalls and complex encryption, the greatest security flaw isn't a line of code. It's the inherent trust, fear, and fallibility of the human on the other end of the line. He was a master of exploiting the human OS. His story continues to echo through cybersecurity lectures and FBI training manuals, and has even inspired a feature film, Freaker, ensuring the legend of the blind teenager who heard too much will not be forgotten. It serves as a permanent reminder that the most sophisticated hacks often don't require a keyboard, just a voice and a deep understanding of what makes us vulnerable.